Well, yeah, I am Jeremiah Gentry, and my story, I'm going to break it into three parts. The way I usually tell my testimony is always a little bit different, but it's generally these three things, and it's what it was like, what changed, and what it's like now. So I'll start with what it was like. What it was like is growing up in a town of Cleveland, Oklahoma, a small town where my parents were raised, my grandparents were raised, and my father and mother both drank, and in the home it was chaotic. So I remember growing up and there being a lot of chaos, lawlessness is the way I would describe it. I remember being very angry, getting in a lot of fights at school, and just being a lot of chaos. And it culminated in my mother left my father because of the drinking, and he, unbeknownst to me, had checked himself into rehab. And my mother took me and my brother to Colorado, and that's where I got the most out of control. So during that time, I really lashed out, and I was a very angry child, was not doing well in school, and we lived in an apartment complex next to a church. And this is back when they did revivals. I don't know if they still do revivals, but there was a revival going on all week, and no one really watched out for me. I came and went as I pleased. So on a Tuesday night, I went over to a revival. Felt the urge to come forward and didn't. Went back on Wednesday, felt a stronger pull to come forward, didn't. And then finally, I think it was on the third night, I don't recall exactly, but I think it was on a Thursday night, I finally did come forward and gave my life over to Christ and accepted him as my Savior. And at that point in this story, up into anything else, chaos. Shortly thereafter, my grandfather came and got my mom and boys. We came back. My father successfully got out of rehab, and we became a family again. And somehow looking back on that, I thought, I did it. I turned my life over to God, and he brought my family back together. And there was some part of this where I thought I had done something. But in reality, it was God, and I was taking a little bit of credit. But that's where I know my life was turned over to Christ. So I think once saved, always saved. I think it was when I was 13 in Colorado Springs at a little church. I came back, I got baptized in Cleveland, Oklahoma. That's where our family was raised until I moved to Fort Smith, Arkansas. And so the next 21 years of my life was kind of questioning that fact of was I saved? I knew that I turned my life. I saw this miraculous change in my family, but I still had doubts. And so occasionally throughout the next 21 years from basically 13 to 34, I kind of questioned that. And I went so far as to get a master's in theology from Liberty to really try and answer that question of my faith and what it meant to me. And so I would characterize that middle area as a lot of ebb and flow, sometimes drawing very near and doing a lot of good things for the church and feeling close to God. And then there's times where I really felt far away. And then I would say there's another big point in my life where things changed again. So on April 9th, 2014, I really felt the world caving in. I still had a lot of success, but I hadn't been to church in over 3 years, and it was in this town where I was struggling. And I remember my heart was hardened, and I was in a very dark, cold place. And if you've ever had a hardened heart, you feel numb to the world. And what I had let happen somewhere in my walk with Christ was I got too far away and I felt very lost. And I hated myself and I hated what I had become. On the outside to the world, and this is why I was at the base, you would think that everything was going very well. But I felt like everything was juggling in the air and it was going to come crashing down. And so that's when I know I was saved, but something drastically changed from an ebb and flow, a drawing closer to God and away for long periods of time. I dedicated my life to a daily walk with God. And so that's what I think really changed in 2014 for me, and what has continued to today. So what it's like now is I never want to lose that connection. I never want to hide from life anymore. That hardened heart had built up because I was numb to the world around me, and I tried to use escapism and not deal with the pain. So there's still been a lot of suffering and pain that's occurred since 2014 to today. But what's different, what it's like now, is that I don't try and escape from it. I definitely try and run to God. That is my first move now, is that I know to stay close to Him. It's a daily walk. It's not something that you can come to weekly. For me, it's something I have to do every morning. And if I forget in the morning, and usually I don't, but sometimes I do, it's something that I have to just stop on the side of the road and pray and turn my life and my will back over to Him in a daily walk. And that, for what it's like now, I feel free. And that's the best way I can describe my walk with God, is that when it's a daily walk, I'm free. And even though there's suffering and there's pain, I know it's to bring Him glory. So thank you for letting me share. Jeff, thank you for your time, and thank you guys.